So let's bring in Mike Hogan, the voice of the Toronto Argonauts, and where I became familiar with him, the host of The Bullpen on Fan 590. How you doing, Hoagie?
That's a while ago. You're old.
Well, I love listening to you and Schultz. You're responsible for breaking that man into broadcasting.
Don't hold that against me. I had to work with a 6'8", 300-pound raw lump of clay, which was a lot of fun and very intimidating.
Of course, the screen would freeze today.
Nothing breakable around here.
Hoagie, we got you now. Sorry, we've had some tech gremlins like crazy. You left us at a lump of clay. That was your last
6'8", 300 pounds, and Schultz was pretty raw. He didn't like laughing on the air. And the one thing that still is maintained, he really doesn't like to be negative. He always likes to stress the positive. But to see him have the run he did at TSN, and I'm lucky to still have him on our Argo radio broadcast as a partner. That dude just loves football. So he's in good shape right now, and he's. I talked to him this week. He just had his knee scoped, so he's in a good frame of mind right now.
Loves football, knows football, and I talked to him last week, and doing some work with NFL alumni last I heard too. So Schultz is going to be a success no matter what he does. Hoagie, I don't know where we'll go. Can we just start with David Braley? Your history with the man, if you don't mind.
An intense one. I wasn't working for the Argonauts at the time. I was for the Fan and then radio. So I knew David Braley only from arm's length. The handful of times that I came in contact with him, he was exceptionally nice to me. I know that not everybody had the same sort of in him over the years. He was a guy, from what I understand, that if he had something on his mind, he'd let you know about it. And sometimes that was appreciated by people, sometimes not so much. I really knew him as a person because I would just be making stuff up. I didn't know him really at all as a person. But I have so much respect for what he did. He pumped his money into the league. He pumped his money into millions and millions and millions of dollars to the Health Sciences Center and the athletic department there. So as somebody who is passionate about all levels of football in this country, I thank Senator Braley for his contributions, but as a person, it would be unfair for me to comment because I didn't know him.
Did you ever interview him?
I don't think formally. I would talk to him. I would see him at the stadium, kind of get some background information, but I don't know if I ever interviewed him on the air or not. I may have, but if I did, I can't.
You know, it's funny because you talk to people with the Argos from that era, and my friends, Chris Jones, Zach Caleros, obviously, Ricky Ray, although it was, they were homeless, really. They'll look back as some of the greatest times of their life, however, right? Some aren't quite there yet. They're still a little bitter about how it went down. You must hear those stories around there. Those stories don't go away.
Yeah, we cut out for a minute, but the feeling around that team was a very good one. It helps when you win, but at the same time, there was a certainly amount of non-security around the Argonauts in that era. So, I think from an Argonaut perspective, David Braley was a savior for coming in and rescuing the team when nobody else would. He was a large part responsible for getting Sokolowski and Cinnamon involved as owners and even bankrolling them to a degree while he was still in Vancouver, and then picking up the tab afterwards when nobody else would. And there's a lot of negativity around him toward the end of his tenure with Toronto because he slashed things right down to the bare bones before he sold it. So positive and negative. Was there more positive than negative? If it wasn't for David Braley, I don't know where the Argonauts would be because I don't know what would have happened to them after Cinnamon and Sokolowski.
Do you think the comments by Stephen Brunt on Fan 960 were unfair yesterday?
I don't know. That's Stephen. Maybe time and place, because I don't think that Stephen said anything that wasn't talked about by other people. But, Stephen is that guy. I mean, if he's asked a question, he's going to answer it honestly. And David Braley was a very complex guy from all accounts because he was so good, but so demanding. So, I guess it depends on what side of that line you think was a bigger contribution to the Canadian Football League or detriment. But, he bailed out 3 markets when they needed it. And I think CFL fans should be very thankful for what he did in Toronto, Hamilton, and Vancouver, although his tenure as owner certainly wasn't perfect.
It's a fantastic, fascinating discussion, I think, and one that will go on for a long time. Hey, but with the Argos, when the CFL does come back, because we have no doubt that it will, Hoagie, you got a bunch of ballers there, right? And some personalities, I might add. Nataya J, Joanne Briskason, Dejan Brissett, John Murphy. It's going to be exciting when we do get back.
Oh, I agree. And I'm just going to talk about a football perspective, not real life and COVID, which obviously takes priority to anything. But strictly from a football perspective, we're really disappointed the season didn't get off because we were so excited about what we had done. The players that we acquired through free agency, the players that we drafted, a lot of the players we brought home to the Greater Toronto area, and players' reality and who are vibrant in the community. We were really excited to see what this team could do. We wanted to see what Ryan Dinwiddie could do as a head coach. We were excited for that. Glenn Young as a defensive coordinator. Guys were getting their first opportunities and it didn't happen. So it's been put off for a year. We're just ready for 2021 now.
The screen froze with the audio continues. What heyday. What did we do to the tech gods? We heard it all. The screen is just frozen, though. What does he need to do, Clark? Okay, so we're going to continue to ask you the questions, Hoagie, even though the screen has frozen. I'll say
I can hear you again.
Yeah, okay. The Argo fan wrote me on Twitter and said how devastated the Argos are. They had to hire Ryan Dinwiddie, and they had to sign Matt Nichols, and this is the state of the franchise. How demoralizing, I thought. What league are you following, man? This is hella exciting. Don't you think?
I would agree 100%. I mean, Ryan Dinwiddie was thought of by a lot of people as being that next great coach, and there was always he's never been a coordinator, blah, 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 blah. Mike Clemens interviewed him and said, why should we wait? Why can't we have him now as a head coach when he's going to be there eventually anyway? Let him come here. Let him be the head coach for a number of years. If he makes a couple of mistakes, he's going to learn from them, but he's going to be our guy. And if that's, why have to fight for another team to bring him back anyway? Glenn Young, same thing. He's a Toronto guy coming home for Argo, and a guy that's just a spectacular football fanatic. So we get those guys. Matt Nichols may have been the MVP before he got. He was that good. So I don't know why people would complain about Nichols and Dinwiddie. We're legitimately excited, and I don't know where the criticism could possibly come from.
I don't either, but at least the guy has an opinion. But I think he needs to be sold. I get it.
And that's what we wanted to do on the field, Roddy. We wanted to be able to trot out that team, watch this group come together, watch this group of local talent. You look at the hotbeds right now. Quebec's obviously a hotbed for talent. Vancouver area is, but when you look at numbers, in quantity and in quality, it's still that GTA area because we have so many people to draw from. Why not bring those people home? Why not get them immersed into the community where they can live at home all year round and in the off season as well as working out? Get some post-career experience and have friends and family come to the game and just wear that double blue with pride. We were really pumped up about that. And the way that Pinball put it, he said we wanted to start bringing people back to the community. And this year in free agency, it just turned out, thankfully, that the people we would have had in mind anyway in terms of talent, for the most part, from the Canadians, were from this area anyway. So it's really a win-win situation, and we were just so excited to see what those guys were going to do on the field. This has been an awful year for many, 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 many reasons, and from our perspective, that's just another one of them.
From some of our viewers, Nelson writes in and says the Argos will make a push in the CFL Sim playoffs. They need a win this week. They may get a bye and host the division final. Mandy in Edmonton says, I remember the breaking news the other day, Rod. You said you can disagree / tease with friends and still be friends. Side note, great comments by Mike Hogan. Yeah, that's why I think I don't fit in anymore working for teams and stations because people just get too offended all the time. I don't get offended. I don't get hurt. I'm impervious to pain. Sometimes I forget not everybody is that way. Here's a question, Hoagie. As an Argos season ticket holder, are you aware of any plan by MLSC to properly market the team in the GTA? I have seen nothing in the way of promotion.
Well, we don't have games to promote yet. To be honest, when the schedule comes out, get ready for it. That's what we're doing right now. We're getting ready for a couple of things that will be announced in the days and weeks ahead. And it's not like we took the time off during the pandemic. We've been working our rear ends off, maybe even a little harder than we had in years before, preparing for 2021. It's been a lot of work, a little catch-up time, and a little opportunity to get ahead of things. So if you're an Argo fan, stay tuned. We've got some good things coming, starting in the next couple of weeks. You'll find out more as we get closer to Grey Cup.
I'll tell you this, Hoagie, it's funny with you saying how excited you guys were to get on the field in 2020. Marc-Olivier Bralette, who you know well, and is now doing Alouettes color, was on here a while back and said the Alouettes had the most to lose coming back with Kahari Jones, with VA, how excited they were. You could go to every market, Hoagie, and give a reason why that team felt they were hurt the most. Look at the Riders here with Cody Fajardo, Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, Craig Dickinson. In Ottawa, the rebuild with Nick Fatty Arbuckle, the new coach, Paul LaPolice. Like the CFL had some serious going coming into 2020. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and I do like the Fatty Arbuckle reference. How old are you, by the way?
I'm a nerd. I know. I'm a nerd.
No, but every team, it's like every sport and every team should be excited in the off season. If you came into the opening of a training camp in any league, in any sport, and said, oh boy, did we ever suck in the off season? How are we going to get past all of those defections? I can't believe we didn't sign anybody in free agency of note. Our draft was terrible. Like, can you imagine somebody saying that? The off season is when you rebuild. It's the rebirth of another year for any given team. And, every team should be excited about the year. Every team, I think, could make that argument that we had the most to lose this year because we thought that we had improved. Or in Winnipeg, look, we're right in the middle of our window. We want to go back to back. We've got all this momentum. In Saskatchewan, we're all excited to see what Cody can do for another season. And we're ready to contend. And, for Hamilton, this is going to be the year finally. With Hamilton, it wouldn't be, but, that's just an Argo guy talking. But you know what I mean? There's just that excitement around every team in the league. You can do that. And that's what makes sports great, because when a team kicks off the first game of the season, you expect things to be better. We thought that last year, and we ended up 4-14. But, when the season started, we were pretty optimistic about some of the changes that have been made.
Literally, you're right. Every team had a reason. And yeah, you would hope, but it's a small league. You've been with teams.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, well, look at the Blue Jays in your days in talk radio on Fan 590. You went into seasons knowing you didn't have a chance. That's what I'm saying. That's not the case in the CFL with any team.
Exactly. We've seen worst to first happen so many times, and we've seen first to worst happen as well. And, a string of injuries can happen, or a team can stay remarkably healthy and have one or two of those guys that we didn't know a lot about in training camp step up and be those next guys that, TSN every week is focusing on and saying, where did this guy come from? That's what every team hopes for. And, every team has those guys. We signed a lot of guys, John Murphy as well as anyone. Murph is spectacular at finding those unearthed gems. And we were waiting to see which one of 2 or 3 or 6 or 7 of those players were going to step up and be impact players this year that, right now for a lot of fans are just names on a page. And that happens with every team every year. And sometimes the teams that finds the most of those guys is the team that lifts the Grey Cup at the end of the year. And every team was waiting to see, were they the team that was going to have those players sort of introduce themselves to the CFL fans over the course of the season.
Guys, can you put up that comment from the fan in Ottawa? Says, I knew for sure my Red Blacks were going to be terrible after the 2019 season. We lost 4 great players and thought we could start an all-Canadian offensive line, which resulted in disaster. Oh, after the 2018 season, 2019 offseason. That's Colin in Ottawa. We have another one from BC. We have seen worst to first happen in a season. Look at the Lions a few years back. Shoot, look at the Argos in 2017. The 9-month rebuild. My God. That's an exciting thing. The 27 Argos will always be held up as the standard, Hoagie, of the fastest rebuild in CFL history. Change my mind.
Sure, absolutely. And just going back to what Mo Braley was saying, fantastic in Montreal. I thought last year, going into the season, that Hamilton would probably win the regular season, that we'd finish in second place because Ottawa, and Montreal had some off-season challenges. And look at the season Montreal had last year. I don't think anybody saw that coming, maybe not even Montreal. And they got on a little bit of a roll, and it was a really good season for the Alouettes. And there's no reason that fans in Ottawa, seeing La Police come in and Arbuckle and some of the other people that they added, couldn't think the same thing. In Toronto, we're 4-14. Do we think we're going to be better? Hell yes. Do we think we're a playoff team? Hell yes. And we're going to think the same thing next year going into 2021. So it's the opportunity for teams to put the money where the mouth is, but there is always that team. And last year, Montreal really surprised me, and good for them for doing it.
Just lastly, Armando Moreno in Mexico says Mexicans have already proven they belong in Major League Baseball. Yesterday, Urias and Gonzalez confirmed it. Soon, Mexicans will prove they belong in the CFL too. That's from our daily viewer in Mexico. He's a global football reporter down there in Mexico. Hoagie. I'll just say this about Murph. Heard from him the other day. You know Chris Jones' nickname for Murph? Press play. Just press play. You get it.
Murph's desk is across from mine. Although he was just getting an office when this whole thing stopped and we were told to stay home and work from home. He was getting his office. It was going to be so much quieter this year. With Murph in his own office and not being in the desk across from me, I'd get some work done.
Things to look forward
Murph.
to.
He's awesome.
I want you to unleash him on Toronto Sports Radio, TSN, Sportsnet, whatever, and see those hosts try and squeeze him into a 10-minute window. It's impossible.
Can't be done. I'm not making, and I wrote this in the story, so I'm not speaking out of school. I interviewed him when he took over, kind of, the introduction to John Murphy for Argo fans. I asked him a question, and I forget what the exact time was, but I believe his answer was 19 minutes and 30 seconds.
You asked him how he's doing.
I'm not making that up. And it was fascinating. If you had the time to listen, it was a remarkable answer. But it was almost 20 minutes long. It might have even been over 20 minutes, and I included the exact time in the article. If you want to learn, listen to Murph. He's an encyclopedia. So, he's a hell of a resource. He's great at what he does, and we were really looking forward to seeing the fruits of his labor on the field.
Press play. Hey, it's on pause right now. We're on pause. Oh, and he's gone. Did they just drop a bomb on BMO Field?
Murph cut the cord. Murph unplugged it.
Yeah, we got it. Yeah, Murph unplugged the cord. Dupe says, okay, Hoagie. Yeah.
Murph was probably phoning. That's what happened there. I was getting a phone call. It's probably Murph.
Exactly. Right. Okay, Hoagie, thanks for the patience. Thanks for the time. As always, thanks for putting up with me. Stay safe, and I hope we can do it again soon.
Anytime, boys. Daddy Arbuckle. Nice. 1930s. Come on.
Thank you. That's what I do. Nick Fatty Arbuckle.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.